Welcome to the history and origins of Yoga Nidra, the goddess who sleeps the world awake. We've already talked a little bit about some of the background and history of Nidra, but I want to go a little deeper into it with a little bit more richness in the myth. In this session, we'll travel through time, from the ancient Vedic hymns to the neuroscience of modern Nidra. Yoga Nidra didn't appear overnight. It's a living thread that's been woven for thousands of years through philosophy, mythology, ritual, and the evolving relationship between body, mind, and awareness. Yoga Nidra is older than your bones, older than the stars. Before the first sun rose, she was already dreaming. Before we learn to guide others into conscious sleep, we must understand who we are calling forth when we say the words Yoga Nidra. This is not a nap, and it is not simply a technique. It's a return to the cosmic womb, to the dreaming goddess who sleeps the world into being and wakes it again with each breath of the universe. Yoga Nidra is as old as yoga itself. The story begins over 3,000 years ago in the Vedic period, when sages sat beneath the sky and asked a single burning question. What is the truth that, if known, would end all suffering? That question gave birth to the Upanishads, the whisper teachings, the heart of yoga philosophy, the luminous teachings composed between 700 and 300 BCE. Somewhere around 700 BCE, we find the Brihadaranyaka Upanishad. And here, we meet the first hints of Yoga Nidra. The seers describe the Atman, the eternal self that remains through waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. They teach that the same consciousness that witnesses our dreams also watches our deep dreamless sleep. To recognize that witness, that is liberation. The Chandogya Upanishad divides consciousness into 3 states: waking, dreaming, and deep sleep. The Mandyuka adds a 4th, turīya, symbolized by the silence after the sacred syllable Om. Ahom. Ah, the A, the outer world of doing. U, the inner world of dreaming. M, the dissolving into darkness. And finally, silence, awareness herself. That silence is the heart of Yoga Nidra, the place we rest when we rest as consciousness. Back then, it was philosophy. Later, Tantra would make it embodiment. Myth tells us what the heart already knows. The first appearance of the word Yoga Nidra comes in the Mahābharata, somewhere between 300 BCE and 300 CE. At the end of each yuga, Vishnu, of immeasurable power, lies upon the cosmic ocean, resting in Yoga Nidra. From his navel blooms a lotus, and upon that lotus sits Brahma, who will create the world again. Vishnu doesn't do creation, he dreams it. And the goddess Yoga Nidra, sometimes called Mahāmāyā, is the spell that holds him in that sacred sleep between cycles of existence. When demons arise from the deep, the gods call to her, "Please awaken Vishnu, end the sleep of Yoga Nidra." And the goddess stirs. Awareness returns and creation begins again. The complete cycles. In that myth, Nidra is not a condition, she's a deity, a power. Shakti. She is both the veil that hides consciousness and the grace that reveals it. She is the darkness, pregnant with light. Each time we guide Yoga Nidra, we are invoking her, the one who knows that every ending is a beginning, folded onto itself. In another lineage of this story, told in the Vishnu Purana and the Bhagavata Purana, the sage Kashyapaya witnesses the dream of creation itself. It's a vision that unfolds while he rests in yogic sleep. In his trance, the universe is born, sustained, and dissolved in endless cycles, all within the sleeping consciousness of Vishnu. When Kashyapa awakens, he understands that creation is not an event, but a dream continuously dreamt by awareness itself. Some tellings say that Kashyapa himself becomes the dreamer, that his breath and imagination generating species, elements, and realms, echoing the goddess's power of Mahāmāyā. He realizes that each being carries a spark of the same dreaming awareness, and therefore to awaken within the dream is to awaken to divinity itself. Kashyapa's vision mirrors the experience of Yoga Nidra. The body is the ocean, the breath as the serpent, awareness as the dreamer, and the world as the dream. Each practice becomes a small echo of this cosmic vision, the return to space where consciousness dreams itself awake. Enter Tantra, where the body becomes a temple. Imagine Shiva in meditation, still a stone. And from the shadows comes Shakti, whispering, "Beloved, what you seek is the void already in the flesh. Wake up to me. Wake up to yourself." By the 6th century CE, a new whisper arose from the cremation grounds of India, Tantra. Until then, seekers had sought God in mountain caves and renunciation. But Tantra said, no, find God in the pulse of your own body. Until then, most spiritual practice was aesthetic, renouncing the body, renouncing desire, renouncing the world. Then came the Tantrikas, whispering something revolutionary. What if the body itself is the shrine? What if matter is not an obstacle, but goddess in form? Tantra took the lofty philosophy of the Upanishads and brought it home to the flesh. Tantrikas reimagined the human body as a living shrine. Breath, desire, sensation, these were no longer distractions, but pathways. Out of this union, the practices that survive today, asana, mantra, mudra, yantra, and Yoga Nidra. The Vijnana Vaivara Tantra teaches awareness abides where the breath dissolves between the inhale and exhale. That liminal space between movements of life, neither full nor empty, is the essence of Yoga Nidra. One of the tantric rituals, nyasa, required placing sacred syllables into parts of the body to touch the heart, the brow, the throat, invoking divinity in each cell. That devotional mapping of awareness became the prototype for the modern rotation of consciousness, the body scan that we use that really defines Yoga Nidra today. Tantra says, don't run from the senses, sanctify them. When you feel the body from within, you enter the living temple of awareness. That is Yoga Nidra's inheritance. In Nyasa, practitioners place mantras upon the body, touching the heart, the throat, the brow. It was meant to touch the body as a form of recognizing the body as the goddess herself. Tantra is the reclamation of the sacred in the ordinary. Yoga Nidra inherits this tenderness towards embodiment, the permission to rest in the body and not run from it. In the 8th century, a brilliant child named Adi Śaṅkara rewove these teachings into the philosophy of Advaita Vedanta, not two. He taught that the divine is not elsewhere. It is in the fabric of everything that is. This is the song of non-duality. Legend says that as a young monk, Adi Śaṅkara was halted on the road by a low-caste sage who asked him, "Whom do you call impure, the body or the soul?" In that moment, Śaṅkara awakened to the truth that spirit permeates all forms. He described existence as koshas, or sheaths, layers of identity that we mistake for ourselves. The koshas are Annamaya, the food body, the physical form; Pranamaya, the breath body, the energy body; Manomaya, the emotional and mental field; then Jnanamaya, wisdom and intuition; and finally Ananda Maya, bliss, radiant and subtle. These sheaths are the veils the goddesses wear to dance as you. Yoga Nidra gently lifts each veil. It guides us through each layer until awareness recognizes itself beyond them all. Śaṅkara taught that liberation is not withdrawal, but recognition. That salt dissolved in the sea is never lost, it's only unseen. It's still salt. Liberation is achieved by seeing that everything is consciousness playing dress up. Yoga Nidra makes this revelation experiential. When you pass through each layer and dissolve into awareness, you realize the sea has always been you. This is the secret heartbeat of Nidra. There's no separation between the sleeper and the dream. Meanwhile, in another stream of lineage, around 200 BCE, a sage named Patañjali was compiling the Yoga Sutras. Patanjali distilled centuries of oral yogic science into Patanjali's Yoga Sutras. And this book, this writing, this tome, offered the clinical definition of yoga. Yoga Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Yoga is the cessation of the fluctuations of the mind. In the stillness that follows, the seer abides in its true nature. Patanjali likened the mind to a lake stirred by wind. When the waves settle, it finally reflects truth clearly. Yoga Nidra is this sutra embodied. The mind's waves softening until the ocean mirrors the moon. Each cue, body awareness, breath observation, welcoming of opposites, is a method of calming a particular vritti. From Śaṅkara philosophy, Patanjali borrowed the cosmology of Purusha, pure consciousness, and Prakriti, matter. Their eternal embrace births all phenomena. Yoga Nidra is the still point in their dance. The moment the dancer and the dance remember they are one. From the Śaṅkara system, we understand that consciousness, matter, Purusha, Prakriti. This eternal embrace creates all experience. Yoga Nidra is their pause. Purusha witnessing Prakriti's rest. As practitioners withdraw their senses, the process we know as pratyahara, the fifth limb of Ashtanga, the petals of awareness fold inward like a lotus at dusk. In that interior darkness, awareness remains luminous. That's the laboratory of Yoga Nidra, stillness as revelation. As we leap forward to the 20th century India, emerging from colonial rule, India is reclaiming its spiritual inheritance. And amid this cultural rebirth stands Swami Satyananda Saraswati, disciple of Swami Sivananda. Swami Satyananda Saraswati looked at the restless modern world and saw the desperate need for conscious rest. In the 1960s, he outlined and shaped the ancient Nyasa, pranayama, and Vedic philosophy into a step-by-step process that he calls Yoga Nidra. The 10 stages systemize what had always been intuitive and taught, guiding awareness through the body, breath, emotion, opposites, sankalpa, visualization into deep silence. He called Yoga Nidra psychic sleep, not as an escape, but as an entry. It was more than relaxation. It was a revolution of awareness, a way for anyone, anywhere to touch turīya. In the 1960s and 70s, his Bihar School of Yoga became a hub where monks and scientists and householders all practiced side by side. Measurements of breath, pulse, brain waves began to validate what the yogis had always known, that deep rest heals. You've heard this before. It's a little bit of a repeat, right? Later on, psychologist Richard Miller brought Yoga Nidra into the West through the iRest method, where he's worked with veterans and trauma survivors and found that conscious rest can repair the nervous system and restore a sense of belonging to the body. Miller translated the ancient idea of Brahman as unbroken wholeness into modern language of integration. Science is finally catching up to the rishis. Miller brought this to veterans, trauma survivors, therapists. In neuroscience labs, they found what the seers had been promising all along. Brainwaves slow, the amygdala calms, the prefrontal cortex lights up with coherence. Rest is medicine, awareness is integration, sleep is awakening. And then we need to remember the women. Swami Niranjanananda, Uma Dinsmore Tuli, and countless teachers who carried this lineage with compassion and fierce tenderness, reminding us that the goddess still dreams through every guide who holds space for rest. Now, in our century, Yoga Nidra continues to shapeshift. Trauma-informed teachers speak of the vagus nerve and polyvagal safety. Mystics speak of the divine mother and divine goddess redreaming herself through us. Activists speak of rest as resistance in a culture addicted to productivity. But beneath every translation, the same pulse remains. The world breathes out, the goddess sleeps. The world breathes in, and consciousness awakens again. When you teach Yoga Nidra, you are participating in that cosmic rhythm. You are both Vishnu and the ocean beneath him. You are both the dreamer and the dream. Whether you choose to approach Nidra through the trauma-informed route, speaking to vagus nerve, letting people know what's happening with their central nervous system, whether you speak from the mystical point of view, invoking the goddess, or whether you speak to rest as radical resistance, or a combination of all three, you are the dreamer and the dream. The goal of Yoga Nidra is not to sleep more, but it's to wake up inside the sleep of the world. Every lineage that we've explored, Vedic, Tantric, Vedantic, modern, was responding to the same human hunger, the longing to remember our wholeness. Yoga Nidra answers that longing not with effort, but with surrender. When your students lie down, you're not giving them a guided nap. You're ushering them into the oldest ritual on earth. The return to the field of creation, where awareness rests as itself. May you teach this art as both science and sacrament, anchored in history, alive with myth, irreverently sacred, and endlessly kind. Welcome to the lineage of the sleeping goddess and to the revolution of rest. Imagine Vishnu's breath moving through you. With every inhale, the world appears. And with every exhale, it rests back into silence. I can't wait to see what you create along this journey, bringing your voice, be it the vagus nerve voice, the activist voice, the mystical voice. Your voice needs to be heard. Your voice will guide someone into this waking dream. Let's get started.